So the first thing I'm going to do is take a handsaw that I like the handle on and trace it out on a piece of paper. Now naturally I can't trace the handle under the saw blade itself, so I get some measurements of where it should be positioned and the size of the handle, and then just transfer those measurements down onto my piece of paper. Also note the size of this paper, the exact dimensions of the paper itself. That will be important when transferring the size of the handle and the drawing into the computer. Trace the inner diameter of the handle as well. And then I just darken the line with a Sharpie. This will be helpful when scanning it into the computer, just so I can see the line a little bit better than I would with just a pencil mark. I then scan the paper into the computer and open a new artboard with the size of the paper itself. I line up the paper edges. This will make my handle proportionate to the actual size it needs to be. And then I trace out the handle, trying to get as precise as possible, as well as that inner loop where the grip will be. I then head over to Easel, which is the software that I use for my CNC work, and I scale this up, again making the workpiece or the artboard the size of the paper. I set my bit to be on the outside of the outer portion, and then I move the grip loop, the inner loop, to a different artboard and set the bit to be on the inside of that, just so that I will get a actual size. I line everything up on the CNC machine and let it work. After it's done, I remove it, and it didn't quite drill all the way through like I would have liked, so I head over to the bandsaw to cut out that shape. After the rough shape is cut out on the bandsaw, I set a flush trim router bit to be just high enough where the bearing will roll on the upper portion of my handle, and then just clean up those edges on my router table. Next, I cut a groove in the center of the handle. I want it to be 1/4 inch wide, so it's just 2 blade widths. If you're not comfortable and you feel unsafe doing this method, please do something else, whether it's a groove cutting bit on the router or a tenon jig or whatever. Next, I lay out the drawing and the handle where it's going to go on my blade portion, or the long portion of my push stick. I'm using 1/4 inch birch here, so I just play around with some different ideas, as you can see here, and what I found is just to use the flat edge to go inside the handle. I then lay out how big and my lines of where I want the push stick to be laid out and cut, and then I head over to the bandsaw and begin making those cuts. After my cuts are complete on the bandsaw, I begin assembling the 1/4 inch birch into the handle, and I do this with some really short screws. Obviously I don't want these to go all the way through to the other side. You could use glue here if you'd like, but I just decided to use screws. It seems secure, it's bigger, and my hand is further away from the blade, which is why I opted to go with this push stick. I give everything a quick sanding just to clean up those fuzzy edges, and then this project is complete. As you can see, this is a push stick that is quite a bit larger than my current push stick, and it is a lot thinner, which is the reason I went for this in the first place. It also keeps my hand higher up off the blade. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can find this project and more on my website at www.rockyriverwoodworks.com. You can also find me on social media at RockyRiverWW.